Well, happy Monday, everybody. It is a lovely Monday. I'm 1,000% sure of that because in the Zoom booth on Act 3 today, I have a familiar face and one who we get to celebrate for the tremendous amount of work that was done. I know you can't wait to hear all about it, so let me tell you who's in the booth. It's Ceri Peacy. We are with the Hamilton Wetlands and Forest Preservation Society. If you've just tuned in, I'm Kathy Holmes, happy to be your host. Welcome to the program, Carrie. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great.
I am so glad. And I know we have so much to talk about, but there's so much celebration to be had. You have been a guest on our show on previous occasions several times now, and it's always been that push to get the marshland saved. And it's my understanding that that has happened. Is that right?
You betcha. It has.
Yahoo!
It
Yahoo!
sure has. And for me, it's been 20 years, but overall, I know there was a negotiation before that, so it's probably 30 years in the making.
30 years. Like that's your life's work, right? For the listeners who may not have seen our show or heard your recordings before or seen you on our television program, tell us about Hamilton Marsh and why this is such an important deal.
Okay, I always get a bit emotional because
Yeah.
it is such a big deal, and it's just unbelievable that it's done. So Hamilton Marsh is located 5 minutes from the town of Qualcom Beach or Coombs, depending on which direction you're coming from.
Yeah.
It is 300, the entire land parcel is 360 hectares, and the wetland itself is 36 hectares. And that, by the way, 360 hectares is just short of the size of Stanley Park on the mainland at 400.
Wow.
So it's
Huge.
huge. And the marsh itself is the largest body of water in the French Creek watershed, and it also feeds other nearby water areas. It is the most prolific waterfowl brood marsh in the area. Over 120 species of bird have been seen there. Red and blue listed species travel through, and also a dragonfly study's been done. So I mean, it's the most beautiful biodiverse area, and it's a mature forest, and it is part of the last remaining coastal Douglas fir ecosystem of Vancouver Island.
Wow. You know, when you think about how much dedication and time it takes for a community, a society to realize just the value, what would have happened if Hamilton Marsh hadn't been saved? What could have happened?
Well, it's interesting because it lies within a certain zone, right?
Yeah.
And there are certain regulations around it. But to my mind, the worst case, well, it was owned by Island Timberland slash Mosaic, and they are, I would say, equally into real estate as they are into logging.
Yep.
And I would not have been surprised if they weren't like large parcels surrounding the wetland. And
Mhm.
but I can't say for sure that they were ever going to do that.
Oh, of
But
course.
that's one of the scenarios.
Yeah, yeah. I can't imagine, especially when we're talking about the old Douglas firs. I mean, they really are amazing. I know on Vancouver Island, we have one of the largest, um, I was going to say supply is maybe the wrong word. I'm not sure really what the word is as it relates
Yeah.
to forestry, but right.
Yeah.
I mean, across the island itself, we are still one of the largest uh, parkland areas to be able to showcase these trees that are 850 years old and up, right?
Yeah, so those I don't know that we have any that are 850 years old, or like it's sort of I think the idea is within 20 or more years it could be an official old growth forest.
Right.
Uh,
Okay.
so but I know the coastal Douglas fir ecosystem is rapidly diminished by all the reasons it would be by logging or development and so on and so forth. I find that when I think about Hamilton Marsh, um, it can be a hard sell to people who only understand golf courses and only understand land as chattels that you develop and there's the money, there's the value. And so it's been a hard slog, but so clearly the people who get it really get it. And for me, I have a little slogan, preserve Hamilton Marsh for the water, for the wildlife and for the future because no one in any development plan really even thinks about wildlife, insects, you name it. And so for the water, because largest body of water in French Creek watershed, it is also um, quite a peat base to it, and peat is the most effective carbon sink ecosystem in existence.
Wow.
And so it's helping us with water, it's helping us with air. Uh, it's it's an amazing piece of land. And
Yeah.
I have to say, the RDN spearheaded this, and it has been on their park acquisition plan for, I believe, 25 years.
Which is
And
feels like
yeah,
forever, right? A
I
long,
feel,
long time. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it does. Yeah,
So, so Douglas Fir, I guess what I'm thinking of is, the park that's up Clayoquot Sound Way, right? When you're going
yeah.
towards Port Alberni and Cathedral Grove, those are the Douglas firs as well. And I know there's some very old growth there. How similar are these parks? I mean, people know Cathedral Grove. I don't know how many people know Hamilton Marsh in the same way. Do you know what I mean?
So definitely Hamilton Marsh is a younger growth
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
If you follow us on Facebook, which is just facebook.com/Hamilton Marsh, we have an image in there of people in, I would say, the 30s
Yep.
skating on Hamilton Marsh, and there were no trees in the background.
Wow.
I know, right? And anecdotally, I understand there were because a lot of when you walk in the first trail, you can see where the boards were put in, and they
Mhm.
stood on the boards to do it. And but I understand that somewhere on the far side, there were trees that were too big for their mechanics at the time. And my understanding is there are about 50 of them, and that they were probably the seed trees for all the trees that are there now.
Wow. That's incredible to me.
It's anecdotal, but
But
certainly
it's,
possible.
yeah, and part of this is that 25 years ago, I mean, you have been doing this yourself for nearly 25 years, right? Like it's been a long
Well,
time you have been fighting
yeah.
for Hamilton Marsh.
So it's been 20 years for me.
Yeah.
And about 2005 was when I held my first public meeting, and that was before going to the RDN.
Mm.
And the only well, so I have the attention span of a gnat, so for me to hang on for 20 years is like a miracle, and it must really mean something to me, right?
Sure.
And I think persistence has since become my second name.
Hmm.
And but I was driven, and I was driven because water. I've watched all the droughts that have come and gone and how very dry the east coast of Vancouver Island is. Um, I was driven by the fact that wildlife has is in many ways running out of places to live because we're expanding ours.
Yeah.
I was driven because I suddenly understood why insects are so important in the giant scheme of things. And
Sure.
then birds, of course, they have to migrate and nest and have their babies. So it became bigger. It just became bigger than me, which is why I stuck with it. And in the early days, I'll say the early 2000s, I think. So if I started in '05, maybe 2007 or to 9, there were negotiations in place, and we were within a handshake of an agreement, and then the landowners walked away at the last moment.
Oh,
I was so crushed. You have no idea.
no.
And but we turned out to be very fortunate
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
that was just for the wetland and a buffer. And in this case, we've got the whole 360 hectares.
Yeah, I love the idea that you did hold out because you do now have the whole 368 hectares.
Yeah.
Uh, and so I know when you and I first met, it was several years ago now. It's probably nearly a decade, not quite that long, but pretty darn close. And we were on the show on Shaw, and you and I interviewed on the show on Shaw that Matt Carter used to host. And we were talking about the Brant
Wildlife.
wildlife. So I'm curious, just because I've forgotten, so I'd like you to refresh my memory.
That's okay.
How connected was the Brant birds with the marshland? Like,
Oh,
do they come
so
together there, or are these two separate
yeah,
entities?
they're separate because the Brant goose is a small little sea goose, and it mostly travels along the waterline, and
Right?
it feeds during this period, and it has the biggest migration from Mexico up to the Arctic, and they're amazing. It's my understanding that if it were terribly stormy or something, they might be driven further in, but
But
we they
yeah, it's not
they don't
connected.
frequent our place. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Because that's just what I remember when we're talking about birds as well for this marshland. I mean, there are so many species of birds that nest and call that area home. And for yourself, in advocating for this and for the bugs and all the little beasts that are around in Hamilton Marsh, what a victory for you to finally be able to say, you guys are going to be okay.
It came at a very tough point in my life. As you know,
Yeah,
our house burned to the ground last February.
yeah.
And as I was walking down our driveway, I realized how impermanent we are, and so is all our stuff. And so in my mind, it became more important to preserve the wetland and the forest for future generations and for wildlife. And fortunately, even though all my 20 years of files burned up, it was the last thing smoldering in the house. Um,
Right.
even though, yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, how ironic.
Uh, yeah, but very fortunately, in the back of the van, because we had already been promoting Hamilton Marsh, was
Yeah.
our banner, our map, our easels, and our brochures. And
Wow.
so we hit the ground running, like within several weeks of the fire, we were already doing things. And then so when we heard in September that there was a conditional purchase, that was exciting. And but I had no idea that so much money was needed, like 7.5 million. I had
Yeah,
no
yeah,
idea.
huge dollars.
Yeah, and so oh, what was I saying? So oh yeah, here it is. So here's the thing. So here I am in my head. I'm more than ever committed to Hamilton Marsh because I know our property and us will be gone. And but the fascinating thing is the conditional the actual completion of the deal came through almost a year to the day of our fire.
Wow.
How's
Talk
that
about a
for?
gift, hey? Like, wow.
Oh, it's
Yeah, because
incredible.
you don't even have your house. Your
Yeah.
house hasn't been rebuilt yet. You're still working on all those processes. You know, I
Yes.
and one of those pieces where, I felt like I really bonded to you was when I learned how courageous you are, how much of a push for fighting for what's right that you are. And like I admire you so much for all that you've done and all that you've experienced and in tandem with each other. That push, that drive. Um, did you? Did you name any of the birds? I know it's such a dumb question, but did you name like because I would imagine that there is something insightful for that is to give Hamilton Marsh became home, right?
No such thing. No
Yeah.
naming of the birds.
No, no,
Um,
no.
yeah, yeah.
Just the
Oh,
feeling and everything of being there is really what
oh.
kept the drive going. Yeah.
And
The people.
I also feel it's really important to say that none of this, I'm not the lone hero here. I
Right.
mean, we have the Aerosmith Naturalists have done the annual tours with us. The Friends of French Creek used to be we used to be a committee under them. Um, Ducks Unlimited Oceanside. They are usually on hand at the tours, and they contributed the proceeds of their gala this year towards purchasing Hamilton Marsh.
Amazing.
And and the partners that swung in that were really great, the Nature Trust of BC, the Sierra Club. There were others, and I'm just so happy. It was pretty stressful because, from September till when we got it all done. Um, I'm the kind of girl, I had planned to recover from the fire by pulling the covers over my head and having no responsibilities whatsoever from
Yeah.
September to December.
Yeah.
And then this came up, and it was like there were no options. I just had to hit the ground running and keep going. And but I just had no idea that this could actually happen. And I was talking to one of the RDN folks, and I said, if this hadn't happened, I wonder if I'd planned on giving presentations for the next 20 years. I mean, I don't even know, but I'm glad that part is wrapped up.
Well, it's very exciting that that part is wrapped up, and I'm so delighted for everyone that was involved, and much gratitude for all of the players that made this happen. And all those dollars, they do add up and they do make change happen. So, how wonderful is that?
Well, really, we did something very interesting. The Nanaimo Area Land Trust, and we have a connection with them, and they're amazing.
Yeah.
So they were taking online direct donations straight across the board, but the Mount Arrowsmith Biosphere Region office was taking pledges, and they got pledges of all sizes, from small to large to whatever. And I believe that every single one of those donations is equally valuable.
Oh, 1,000%. You needed
What?
them
Yeah,
all, and they all came together so that this could work for you guys. No question.
didn't they?
So, for
Yeah.
this moment, when I think about the summertime coming up, spring is coming up, people are wanting to go outside and wanting to do things. What kinds of things can happen at Hamilton Marsh? Because I heard you talk about some tours and things.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little about that.
So we have a couple of individual tours that we've set up because it's
Okay.
volunteer driven, but they're not necessarily open to the public at this point.
Okay.
We're going to look into setting up, because I think there should be a day of tours, but
Sure.
there's an incredible amount of work that goes into it. And but yeah, I mean, it's a showcase for sure. And once it's officially the RDN Park. Uh, Anyone who goes there, as long as they keep their dog on a leash and they scoop up and they stick to the trails, it'll be worth it. And
Yeah.
the trails themselves are fairly level. There's some tree roots and things, but you go, and when you get to a Y or fork in the road, go right. Tell yourself you want to go the right way. You'll end up at the dock, and it's just it'll blow your mind.
Yeah,
It just
no
opens up
doubt.
into this big thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So the last time I went to a place similar to Hamilton Marsh, I actually haven't yet been to Hamilton Marsh. It's on my wish list, so I will be going for sure this season. Absolutely,
I'll
especially
take you through.
spring is here now, and there's loads of reasons to get outside and to go and take a look around. But one of the things that I have always been curious about is bogs and why bogs are so important. Do you mind sharing a little bit of information about why Hamilton Marsh's bog is so critical to our atmosphere and to our quality of
Oh,
life?
sure. Oh, sure.
Yeah,
There's some people, like we had Andy McKinnon out, and he wrote all the plant identification booklets for BC and so on and so forth. And he gave us a good little video idea of why it's important. But so wetlands themselves, they hold water in times of flooding and in times of drought. They're the basis for biofiltration systems of water, so it filters the water, holds the water. It's They're magical in every way. And one study, when we looked it up, the ecosystem, wetlands as infrastructure. Wetlands are valued at 22,000 per hectare, and we've got 36 hectares of wetland. So if you do the math on it, this marsh is working for us 24/7 for free, give or take. And so the purchase was very wise on that front. Um,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
With people so curious about what's happening with the environment, this is a win in a big way. This provides us with a quality of air that is so healthy and rich for us all. And so last year we had the Mount Wesley and the Mount Underwood fires. And they did scroll around, the back of Qualicum as well as in, or off Port Alberni and the west coast of Vancouver Island was hit pretty hard. Um, the wetlands for Hamilton Marsh, was there ever any concern that that would go up in flames? Has it been careful? Like, is there an action plan in place for forest fires in this particular area?
So it's been private managed forest land forever. So that would be a mosaic question.
Right.
I would say that we live about 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
And when we were, after the house burned down, we were in a trailer. And don't you know, Wesley Ridge lit up. And
Yeah.
one of the evacuation alerts came to just behind our property line.
Yeah.
And so we had helicopters and water going over all summer.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
forest fires are a concern. And I know that acquiring Hamilton Marsh is the first step. The next thing is coming up with a plan, a park plan,
Yeah.
and we'll have some input on that.
Which is
But
terrific. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's really terrific. What I love is I just love it. I picture the trees, I picture the ferns, I picture the bugs, the salamanders. It's incredible. And what people don't know is just kitty corner to where we are across Highway 19 is was where Big Hamilton Marsh was, and that was Pheasant Glen Golf Course. And before Highway 19 and Highway 4 went in, they were co-joined. And and that was incredible. And now, of course, it's a golf course. I'm not sure what the next plan is for it. So to even consider Little Hamilton Marsh or Little Hamilton Swamp by comparison, the wetland being 3 kilometers long and half a kilometer wide, I mean, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad that we saved the whole 360 hectares because it's really the least that we could do.
Well, no doubt. And but the other side is 3 miles of wetland is a lot of wetland, right?
Kilometers.
If
Yeah,
you or kilometers, I beg your pardon.
yeah,
Th 3 kilometers is a good stretch of property, right?
yeah,
For wildlife to be comfortable. And so
yeah,
and I again because I'm not really familiar with marshland, I don't quite
yeah,
understand much about it. Are there fish and other I mean salamanders, yes, frogs, yes, all those
yeah,
wonderful
yeah.
creatures, but what about fish? Do
Well,
they
so
settle?
So the plants are filling in a lot there,
Yeah.
and I know at one point there were three-spined stickleback. I wouldn't
Oh,
know one if I tripped over one, but there was, and I know that there's a water outtake that flows through a farm and up a creek, and I
mm,
know that in that there was rainbow trout and cutthroat trout, but I don't think they came. They probably came from Whiskey Creek down and got
yeah,
caught.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Hmm.
but the amount of life it supports, I don't think we can even know.
Oh, 1,000%. It's
Yeah,
impossible to know. I mean, it
yeah,
really is. And I do, know that the sounds in that particular area, although I haven't wandered all the way through, I can only imagine they're magnified. But from where you are, like you're
yes.
probably hearing all of these sounds and the richness of the marsh is a constant reminder of everything wonderful around you.
So when I go in there, it depends on your time of day. Even if you can't see the many birds we claim to live there, you can hear them. And
Yeah,
it's the same with the frogs, and that is completely magical.
yeah.
And because we tell people we have a list of all the species and things of birds, but whenever we hold a tour, there's the only ones that show up are Canada geese, which is humiliating. Humiliating. Um, but
It's
yeah,
like they know you're coming and so they run
yeah, yeah, they
or
fly
fly.
away, and the Canada geese make a fly smile. And
Oh, that's
um,
hilarious.
yeah, yeah. And I don't know if you're familiar. There was an old travel magazine that was quite ritzy called Fodors, Fodors.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was back in the day, and Hamilton Marsh even made it into that magazine, and I believe it was bird watching. So.
I've always thought when I retire that I would like to, get a really solid set of binoculars and start watching the birds because really I'm not a hunter. I've always, for years it's been the eagles that I look for and I connect with the eagles so well. I suspect Hamilton Marsh has a very lovely inhabitants of these beautiful eagles as well. Yes?
I know I can point out where an eagle nesting tree is. I
Yeah.
can say that we see many different birds flying overhead, like just in the day to day.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure there are eagles, but it's not mostly eagles like it is down in French Creek.
Yeah.
There's owls, there's um, everything. There's just
Just
everything.
just everything,
Yeah,
right?
just everything.
You just need a Canada book, bird book when you go into the marsh to see what you
Yeah,
can spot, that's for sure.
yeah, and a lot of birders do it by sound.
Yes.
So yeah, absolutely. And just a little plug for Aerosmith Naturalists.
Yeah,
They
of course.
they're amazing. They hold tours almost weekly of different places, like for exploring Vancouver Island. They're amazing, and they have a lot of expertise.
So they're Aerosmith Naturalists is the name of
Yep.
their organization. Okay, so we'll make
Yep.
sure that in the Zoom
Yeah.
edition of this recording that I add that to the link box for sure. Hey, listen, I'm just going to take a second because the timing is just there already. I can't believe we've already been talking for half an hour. It's like, where did the time go already? And we've got so much more to talk about. But if you just tuned in, you've tuned into Act 3 on CHLY 101.7 FM. First day with my new mouth. There it is. We are glad that you're here. If you tuned in and you're listening to us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, or anywhere where you get your fabulous podcasts, we're grateful that you listen and thank you so much for doing so. Ceri has recently been on Act Three on Rogers Television, so you'll want to check it out. It's on now. Enjoy the episode. She shares some of her passion, and you can get a real understanding of the joy that she brings to this work, not only from today's episode, but from the episode from Act Three on Rogers. I'm just reminding everybody coming up, the Red Heart Breakfast for Volunteer Nanaimo is happening on April 29th at 8:30 in the morning till 10:30 in the morning. We are trying to raise some funds for Volunteer Nanaimo, keep those doors open and help them in any way that we can. And also, I want to remind you, although it's not happening yet, there's a little time before it does. Shine 2026 is well along the, and I take that back. It's not Shine 2026. It's called Glitter. Glitter 2026. We did Shine 2 years ago. We're now in the middle of Glitter and we're glowing like you wouldn't believe. Dean Fellner and Jeremy Malo and myself and Ernest, we're working hard to put on something fantastic for you guys on that night. So please mark your calendars and hold space for us because we're really looking forward to that. And in the meantime, thanks again for tuning into Act Three. I'm going to continue the program with my fabulous guest, Ceri Peacy. We are talking today about the Hamilton Wetlands and Forest Preservation Society. She's a recurring guest on the program, and it's always delicious to have you on board. So I'm so glad that you're here. Thanks for being here again. My next question, because I love children and the opportunity for them to explore in the marshlands, right? So if you were to take grandkids out, what kind of things would you want them to see first and foremost about Hamilton Marsh?
Well, that's a tough question, but I should let you know that the only reason there are trails and a dock there is because Macmillan Blodell and the owner, Warehouser, I think it was. No, who was it? Macmillan Blodell and School District 69 had a land use agreement to use the place as an outdoor classroom. And
Oh, wow.
I know, and collectively they got the trails blazed and they got the dock put in. And again, anecdotally, it's hard to lay my hands on some things. I understand the dock may have been airlifted in at the time. But
Wow.
getting the documents and things and the photos and visual, I just can't seem to. But so that's really important because it speaks right away to the classroom values of the great outdoors.
Yeah.
And whether like we've taken a few school trips through, and I have partners who are far more plant literate.
Yeah.
And but when we go through, you've got plants, you've got fungi, you've got salamanders. If you're lucky, you got to keep your eye out. You've got frogs, you've got everything. And at one point, when we were doing our annual tours as part of the Brant Wildlife Festival, uh, we would have kids capture and release different creatures, identify them, and they would get a little certificate as certified bug detectives.
Oh, so cute.
Right?
Oh my God, I love that. The
Yeah,
certified bug detective is adorable.
yeah.
There is so much richness as far as that for young children, especially when they're able to catch and release, and check things out. And I did notice, like, not last year because I camp a lot in the summertime, right? Not last year, but the year before, it seemed like it was dragonfly heaven. Like there were dragonflies everywhere. And I'm sure you must have seen them in the marsh also, hey?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you definitely do. And they also make their way a little bit of a distance beyond. Like
Yeah,
just it can be a near miss sometimes with those dragonflies.
yeah.
But they even travel into our neighborhood. And I'm an odd human being. I make no bones about it. Even like go, oh, and I wave to them because I'm weird. And it's
I
the
don't, I think
same
I'm
with
in the same kind of weird place that you are.
oh,
I wave at them as well, and I encourage them
oh,
to land. Like it's okay. And as a matter of fact, my friends and I were camping in Seal Bay not that long ago, not last year, but the year before that. So like 3 years ago, and one of my friends who we camp with every year, his name is Michael, and it's Mike and Marg, and I every season, every year we go and celebrate her birthday in October and mine in September. And so that particular year, we were sitting outside and a gigantic dragonfly landed on Mike's head. And it is
oh,
still one of my favorite pictures of all time because
oh.
and it was so happy. It was just stayed there for a while. It didn't want to leave. It just hung out on his head.
Wow. Wow.
So I'm a weirdo too. I like
Oh,
watching stuff like that and seeing stuff like that.
it's I'm the same with trumpeter swans when they fly overhead. I give them a
Yeah.
wave. I mean, I'm so happy to share the planet with so many other
Oh
creatures.
my God, yes. How wonderful. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic.
I should mention that Dr. Rob Cannings is a dragonfly expert, and he was working with John Samika, who published a dragonfly paper. But what I also found out, because I reached out to him recently, is that in the early 2000s, he took some international dragonfly experts into Hamilton Marsh,
No
right?
way.
How cool is that?
That's very, very cool. And
Right?
did they find new species or did they find a selection of species in the dragonfly family when they came for the visit?
Well, so I don't know about that. I just
Yeah,
know that they went in and took a good look, and
sure.
I know that I published a little bit on LinkedIn
Hmm.
about what he had to say because he wrote an endorsement for preserving Hamilton Marsh, worth every penny. And
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah, and I love dragonflies, and they will periodically land on people, and I've just seen so many different kinds. There was a red one recently, beautiful, and
Oh, gorgeous.
landed on a lady's hat. Yeah.
That's the thing I love about dragonflies is they're so colorful, right? You can the ones that were that fell on Mike were in that particular year, it was a lot
Yeah.
of blue ones, a lot of blue, a lot of
Oh,
purple, like
yeah.
beautiful rich colors. But I've seen the red ones as well, and they are, incredible. I will note though that last year the dragonflies themselves seemed to be smaller physically, right? Whereas in the previous years they were quite large.
Oh,
Last year they were much, much smaller. I was curious about that. I'm not
oh,
sure whether anyone can answer that question for us, but
yeah, yeah.
it's just kind of an odd thing. Back to Hamilton Marsh, though, with the marsh the way it is, you said that there is a dock there. Is there swimming in the marsh? I would imagine that would be awfully impossible to do since it's much more like a bog, right? So you
Yes,
wouldn't be able
yes.
to do that. But the dock being there allows you to get into the marshland itself and see the biodiversity below.
Yeah, you can step out on it. It's a little bit twitchy because I don't think it's been really except for being
Maintained so well.
reinforced by we've been reinforced by people who show me nameless. Um,
Understood.
but I believe the dock replacement will be pretty important. And at one point there was also a bird viewing platform, but I haven't seen that in the last
Yeah,
20 years.
in a long
That's a plan.
time. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So, what initially got you started in this love and passion for Hamilton Marsh? I mean, there must have been an aha moment during that time that just said, this
Oh,
place is just incredible.
so where we live, there was a lot of logging on our road, right? Like at the
Hmm.
end, across everywhere, logging, logging, logging. And so when I saw the ribbons go up outside of Hamilton Marsh, I mean, normally I guess I wasn't all that understanding. So it wasn't like I thought no bad loggers, but I thought you don't have to take every stick, is what I was thinking.
Yeah, no,
And
agree.
and then I reached out to some people, local people, because I talked to one person. They say, "Oh, you need to talk to so and so," right? And Oceanside has so many incredible people and resources, and they want to share it if it's nature related. So that's how I like Neil Daw. He used to be with Canadian Wildlife Services.
Hmm.
He's the one who had the brood marsh study. Anyway, the more I found out, and like that was when the light went on for me that water doesn't just come out of your taps, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And that oxygen isn't just, like there's pollution, there's all these things. And then it had never crossed my mind to be concerned about wildlife and wildlife habitat. It had never crossed my mind.
yeah,
And then this just brought it home in such a visceral way. And I just felt really a big need to protect with this small corner of the world. I would protect a lot more if I could.
yeah,
But
yeah.
but this, I think 360 hectares is a real good save.
It is. It's a huge save because there's a lot of acres and a hectare. So, you multiply that up and you're able to really, as you said, it's the size of Stanley Park.
Yeah,
Um,
just
and are there trails all the way through that whole
no.
side? No,
No.
just some of the areas
So,
are.
so
Yeah.
there's two sets of trails. There's one pull in just at the junction of Highway 4 and Hilliard's Road South.
Hmm.
And that one, it's a more rugged trail, and I haven't been down it for a while.
Hmm.
Um, But when it went, and when you have trees come down and all that, you never know when that one will get blocked off.
Yeah, for sure.
But in general, that would t take you all the way along Hamilton Creek, which is what feeds the French Creek watershed. It'll take you along Hamilton Creek, and you see some incredible biodiversity that doesn't seem the same as the main trail. It's like maybe because there's so few people, I don't know, but it's spectacular. You go at a certain time and you see skunk cabbages in the creek that are like thigh high,
Wow.
and then you see turkey tail and all kinds of things. So in theory, that trail would hook up with the other one, but I just think some storms in early 2000s just
Yeah.
kind of,
Made it a
but
little bit harder to get through in the region for sure.
yeah, and the RDN will be engaged. I'm not entirely sure what the plans are, but we want to keep an eagle eye because we're concerned about all the wildlife and all the other values, not just people having places to go.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, for
but
sure.
you should come up, Kathy, with gum boots on, and I'll
I'm
take you
gonna.
through. Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna. Because as I said, the last bog that I went and visited, I'll be honest with you, was probably 30, 35, maybe 40 years ago, like
wow.
a long, long time ago, where I actually spent time in the bog. I lived on the mainland for many years, and so there was the bog and delta that, as kids we all used to go to and have picnics at, and just enjoy the bog up parkways there. But since then, I haven't really spent a whole lot of time in a bog area, and partially because I was a little scared of bogs, honestly, right? I
Interesting.
well, I'll tell you why, and it's that at the time that I was going, so we're talking again, probably circa 40 years ago, a long, long time ago.
Yeah, yeah.
There had been a writing that was done about people that had passed away, and they were finding the bodies in the bog.
Oh,
And so it was one of those really frightening things. And so I got
oh,
scared of going to the bog.
oh,
And so now it's been, of course, I know that that is not happening, or anything
yeah,
like that now, but my brain has not just driven me to the bug. If I have a choice between going from A to B,
yeah,
I'll go to a B instead of an A, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's why, as silly as that is, and thank goodness on this platform I can share some of my weird stories, and hopefully people are not changing the station in the process of it.
Well, well, if you come up, I promise I'll protect you.
Thank you. Protect me from. I'll put on my gum boots and I'll come
Yeah,
on. I mean, and really, when is the best time to visit a bog? Because we're now coming out of winter, right? We're well into spring.
yeah.
What
Uh,
does that look like?
that's a good question. This year, like 2025, we had more tours than normal. We usually just
Sure.
did the Grant Wildlife Festival.
Yeah.
Qualicum First Nations did a tour, and so we did a few little tours there. And for me, it's looking at it at all seasons. If you go
Yeah.
now, it's going to look a little uh, gray and kind of deadish. Like
Yeah, it's still
it'll
waking
be,
up. Spring is
yeah, right.
making a wake up
Um,
for sure.
in
For
the
sure.
in the spring is best. Like I would say May,
Yeah.
and then you can just see everything coming to life and all the flowers and things.
Yeah.
But to me, it has a beauty year round.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely. I have no doubt. I have no doubt. And it's wonderful to hear and see the bird migrations as they come in and go through and all of that. So that I mean that's part of it. And I think just the idea of being out in wildlife in its natural state, untethered by, us coming in and turning it into perfect parkland and all of that. I mean, that in itself holds so much joy.
if anyone wants to get a virtual visit, we have two videos on our website.
Okay.
One of them is the new one that Taryn Picard put together. She put together a really good one, interviewing a bunch of people that will be recognizable to others, and that was great. And then there's the one before, which is me and Lynn Brooks and a few others, and that is like spectacular. And you have kids going in, and you've got aerial shots, and
Mhm.
it's very community driven, and it's a great one. So I recommend anyone to watch those videos.
Absolutely. And that's a great segue because I believe at the break we did tell people to go get a piece of paper and a pen. So now
Yep.
hopefully they have it handy and they can find out how to access Hamilton Marsh and how to get to your website and all that great stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So the website is hamiltonwetlands.com.
Yeah.
hamiltonwetlands.com. On
Yeah.
Facebook, which is where a lot more things get posted more often and more efficiently,
Mhm.
it's facebook.com/Hamilton Marsh. And you'll see a lot of things there. Um, yeah. The so I'm kind of, well, I'm proud. I will say I am proud because in the 20 years I created the website, I collected the data. I believe that we're probably a source of data even for the RDN.
Oh, for
And
sure.
I'm very proud. I'm very proud of that. And but the videos are great and nothing like being there.
Nothing like being there. Anytime that you get a chance to wander through the wetlands and to see them, I mean, wow. But this is now so personal. It's so personal, right? You've worked so hard. Congratulations in every way for having that work for you. I mean, oh my God.
And
Persistence is the key.
yeah, and congratulations to all the teams throughout the 20 years. It's been a lot of
Yeah,
turnover and things. And congratulations to the RDN for pulling it off.
no
I mean, it
kidding.
it wasn't just a slam dunk, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And they worked really hard on it. And so I'm very pleased about that. I think that we were on equal hair standing up on end sort of feelings like getting it done. And so I'm very proud of them. And I'm I'll say it again, I'm proud of our team. I think that we've worked hard and you'll see there are photos of Taryn and Camilla at different events. Um, we've worked hard and I do want to mention this if I haven't already.
Sure. Yeah.
So about I'd say 3 years ago, we had through some way caught wind that there were conversations between the RDN and Mosaic. Those things are in such tight confidentiality that we never really ever knew what was going on. And so I'm proud because we took that time, put our heads down, no matter how many times I heard it couldn't be done, we could never afford it, we couldn't get the whole thing right, no matter how many times I heard that. We
Yeah.
went out and we showed people the maps. We showed them why we need the whole thing, and we were flying blind. We didn't have data to go on, but we said if because the last negotiation was for a wetland and a buffer, and we said we just want you all to know that a wetland and a buffer would not be sufficient. And so that's what we did. And as part of the funding team, our storytelling, I think, has been excellent, and I'm very proud of that.
You should be. I mean, that's really, and it's great teachings. You know, a lot of people, our station, CHLY 101.7 FM, is attached to VIU.
Yeah.
So, I wonder, thinking about students in mind that are able to, take some of the wisdom, take some of the learnings, take some of the stuff that you've been through, what was it like to be an advocate on something, like to come up against barriers and just push through them? Can you share a little bit about somebody who, if they're wanting just to be an advocate for environmental, especially an environmental cause, what did you learn from all of that that could be transported into a student moving forward?
I don't know. I can't speak specifically to students on this, but I can say that for people who want to save a precious piece of land, first, they need to gather all the data they can.
Yeah,
Never fudge anything because that people won't take you seriously.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and be persistent, network like crazy.
Yes,
Because I look at my networks and you look at Ducks Unlimited Oceanside, you look at Aerosmith Naturalists, Friends of French Creek, you look at MABR, Mount Aerosmith Biosphere Region. You'll see that we've gone in a few times and with a few people from Mosaic and just staying active, keeping top of mind. I mean, we gave delegations too, right? And I think at one point they figured out that there wasn't anything they could learn from us, so there was a little bit of a stall on that.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but just, I think, keep your head down and keep going because there was no straight line. And there were times, like when the last negotiations failed, there were times when I would fall back, like just devastated. And someone else would pick up and do like from our group with Friends of French Creek, and they would do the Brant Festival tour. There was no end. Of assistance and sometimes when you're pushing against dead air, I mean there were quiet times
Oh, sure.
because and even raising money was tricky. I would do it differently. Raising money was tricky because there was nothing for sale and people didn't want to give up their money, right? That was tricky.
Mhm.
I would have probably found ways to raise money before then. And also,
Mhm.
you look at other groups like the Cumberland Forests people and all that. And I sat there and I thought, man, they're organized. They've got an office. Look at the events they hold, right? And
Yeah.
I felt a little bit like a second-class citizen for not having that kind of momentum.
Mhm.
But it didn't matter. It got done. And the other part of that, what was it? Okay, so yeah, all I can say is be persistent and do your best, whatever that looks like. And network, give public presentations, speak to your local levels of government, because really, truly, provincially or federally, there isn't anyone who doesn't know when I'm crossing the hall at a social gathering what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, oh,
So
for sure.
I
It's
think they'll be relieved.
There's network. And
Yeah,
I can tell you that I've had a lot of experience with the network. I recognize that, when I first moved here 15 years ago, I thought I could put a shingle on the door and everything would just be easy and it would, whatever. Well, that's just not realistic. It really is who you know and really getting your issue in front of people, right?
yes.
Getting in front of the decision makers and the people that can help move the agenda forward.
And I should say, because I don't read social cues exactly the best, I had said more than once at public meetings, there is a veiled threat of thousands of seniors in their birthday suits tied to trees around the perimeter of Hamilton Marsh if it looked like they were going to do anything. So I wonder if that wasn't the final thing, but we can't have that.
But
But
I
yeah,
think that's amazing because in actual fact, that is how on Gabriola they
yes,
did do some of that work, and there was a whole calendar that was done on Gabriola
I
about
love,
saving the environment, and it was a bunch of older folks that they didn't tie themselves to trees, but they
yeah,
found themselves naked
yeah.
throughout this area and photos were taken, and the woman who had put this all together has now unfortunately passed on.
Oh,
But I mean, it was a very moving tribute to the work that she was trying to do on the island. So, there are ways to make things heard and
yeah.
seen, but I think that the persistency and the networking piece is probably the most important.
I'd like to circle back about ways people can help in these things.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
for example, I'm big picture girl, right? I hold a
Yeah.
fair bit of data in my head anyway, but I'm big picture girl.
Yeah.
Give me a microphone, point me in the right direction, let me know who I'm talking to, and boom, I'm off. But the people that we need, the maybe quieter ones who are more about numbers or more
Yeah.
about diligent, like a good secretary and treasurer are almost impossible to find.
Yeah.
And so even lending your skills, people lending their skills like that to groups they believe in, that is life changing.
No kidding. No kidding. And I think that that's really important is that, one of the things that we've been talking about in all of the circles I've traveled is how
Yeah,
much we value volunteering and how volunteering really does, make or break many of the things that happen in community at every level. And I imagine that I mean, because you didn't get paid to do all of this. This was a labor of love and a lot of
that's right.
volunteer hours, right?
That's right. And uh, oh, what was I going to say along that line? Also in Oceanside, um, it's a very active volunteer community in many ways in the environment.
Yes.
So their plates are full. So I know who the best talent is, but I had no hope of getting them because they had that much energy on something else.
Yeah.
So I think if you're new to Oceanside, volunteer.
Yeah.
Lend us your skills.
Yeah, yeah. And I think you can accomplish so many things. I think, I know that Volunteer Nanaimo has been terrific at putting together opportunities for people to volunteer. But I know since COVID, volunteering is down quite a bit, right? I think people are just starting to come back to it now. Things are normal as normal can be, whatever that looks
Yeah,
like for people, right?
yeah,
But it does take, and again, in your case, it's been 20 years of really, carrying the mission forward. Sometimes the labor of love is like that. It takes a little bit longer. But look at the fruition that comes from it when you stay dedicated.
Yeah. And but you know, it's funny. I wouldn't say that I had a long, consistent line of time doing it. I mean,
Sure.
I think there were people on when we were under French Creek, there were people sort of doing a little bit of their own thing, which was perfect for the mission. Like I
Yeah,
think
yeah, of
there was
course.
some school visitation. There was a big uh like a dragonfly, like an oriental. It was incredible.
Yeah,
In the parade a couple of times. I mean, there's just so much.
yeah, how
But
exciting.
yeah, it's unbelievable to me. And it's unbelievable that it came true just about a year to the day of our fire. And the other thing that it taught me, like as far as any legacy goes, um, I feel good because I'm leaving a legacy for future generations. People
Thousand
who
percent.
donated did, right? And I'm actually starting to think that that's the only way to leave a legacy is to preserve land, big tracts of land and ecosystems, and because we can't function without them.
We can't, and it's easy for developers to come in and try to, overtake things. And
Yeah,
we are very low on housing in so many areas of our communities on Vancouver Island. We have a huge influx of people that are coming over steadily over the
sure.
next few years because they're they're trying to get away from the rat race. All the
Yeah,
more reason why we need places like Hamilton Marsh, where that oxygen is being created
yeah,
and is helping all of us to live together in harmony from a
yeah,
breath perspective.
yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at what's going on in the Middle East right now.
Yes.
And if you think there's a barrier between the air there from all the burning ships and things and here, you're wrong. And so I look at saving Hamilton Marsh, but based on all that's going on in the rest of the world, it's a little bit scary.
Yeah.
And I hope we can save more on Vancouver Island.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Vancouver Island has what's called the ENN land grant,
Mhm.
and 1/5 of the east coast of Vancouver Island is corporate owned. And so that's
Mhm.
why we have to pay a lot of money to acquire, you know. So we have a special situation.
So is there a next project for Hamilton Marsh now that this part is secured and that RDN is going to look at the park as being how it can be more friendly for individuals to come and visit? Is there another body of land that you've set your sights on, Carrie, that you want to begin the process all over again?
You
Not
know,
yet.
No, no. So I had some thoughts like when this came to be, I thought, oh great,
Yeah,
I can fold everything up and walk away and not have to volunteer ever again. That's what I was thinking. I've done my bit. I've done more than most. I'm done. Apparently that's not possible because I want to be part of the park planning thing. It's like if you give
of
birth to a baby, you don't
course.
just toss it in a corner.
Of
So to be
course.
involved in that is important. But I'm starting to believe there needs to be a fundamental s- n- uh, uh, network. Some like I think about there's social media, there's websites, there's fundraising, there's a million different things, and I would have done so much better or been more efficient if I had a trajectory to go down.
Of
So
course.
ideally, I'd love to be part of creating the trajectory for other groups who are maybe just starting out. But
Yeah.
that said, I want to just chill after our new house comes and
Yeah,
be
well, you've been
maintain.
through a lot these last few years. You need to be able to, start rebuilding your world.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
no question.
Yes, please. Yeah.
But the good news is that the Hamilton Marsh, the success of that, I suspect probably really helped along the way to keep you somewhat sane, right? When you're going through what you went through. I can't even imagine what it would be like to lose everything in a fire. I just can't
Yeah.
imagine.
I'd love to do some public speaking on that and also on Hamilton Marsh one day.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well,
but
you're always welcome on the program, so we'll just book another day for that conversation for
yeah,
sure. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I just I believe that when you volunteer for something, I think you need to make calendar time for it.
Yeah.
Uh, because sometimes people might not follow through. But you know what? I said to someone, and this sounds a little bit too Pollyanna. There I go.
It's okay. I believe in Pollyanna, and tears are the healthiest thing we can do, especially when we are feeling like we've worked so hard for something and there it finally is.
Well,
Yeah.
I said to some people as the process was going, and at no point was there a guarantee that it was a done deal, right? They were like
No, of course
up and
not.
down and
Yeah.
up and down. And I said to someone, if we can preserve Hamilton Marsh, I can die not right away.
I know, of
But
course,
I
of
can
course.
die with a slight smile on my face because I would have done a very good thing for future generations, for the water, for the wildlife. That to me, that is so important, and I happy to have given the time that I've given to it. Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding, no kidding. Well, we're at, I mean, our time is just about up. So what I
Okay.
want to do first of all is get you to repeat, how do people find you online?
Yeah.
How do people access Hamilton Marsh?
Sure. So if you go to hamiltonwetlands.com, we've got a very good map and it will show you how to get there. Um, and also watch the videos and always dress warm and hook up your dogs.
Yes, yes.
Then, yeah, and if you're a Facebookian, which I am a bit of a junkie, um, I don't want to be, but I am. But if you go to, yeah, I'd rather be
I spend
private.
a
Like,
lot of time on Facebook as well. I'm sorry, I have no
yeah,
shame. I'm happy to
yeah,
admit it.
yeah. Well, if you go to facebook.com/Hamilton Marsh,
Yeah.
you will find a lot of updated things there. And I keep that more current than the website. Just
I have to say, I've been to the website and I think it's beautiful. And I think that all of the work that you have been doing in community is just so outstanding. And congratulations. I know that everyone in the community is holding you up in honor to
oh,
say thank you because, it takes a real, stubborn grit to be able to make something like that happen. And you did that in spades, and your team, of course, the volunteers.
sure.
But Act Three is a totally volunteer thing, right? And I know it's been a decade for me, and I know that it takes a lot of people to make all of these things happen. But at the end of the day, it still also takes that force to keep pushing the momentum forward. So thank you for being that message and that conduit to make that happen. Now, with that being said, my favorite part of the show, if you could imbibe, although you have already imbibed loads of wisdom, but let's add a little bit more, shall we? If you could imbibe on our community something that, is a takeaway, something you want people to understand, what might that look like for you?
Wow, that's easy to answer. Um, I, you know what? You know the perfect world. We
Yeah,
always think in a perfect world. In a
yeah,
perfect world, everyone will put a portion of their income away for conservation.
yeah.
That would be just awesome. And when one volunteers, um, like don't ever think that you have to be someone special or perfect. Be yourself.
Yes.
I have outgrown shame. I'm
Yeah.
shamelessly me now. So be who you are, use your gifts. And I sometimes find that quiet people don't necessarily feel like they have that much to offer compared to we the bombastic, right? But they really do. And I count on those kind of people to shepherd me, direct me a bit. And yeah, so do use your gifts and just remember the best legacy you can leave is land.
Yes, and I love what you said about the quieter people as well, because it is true that, that the foundation for which we stand, and are able to speak to community and speak about subject is so reliant on those people that are holding us up, right? There's no
Yes,
doubt about that. Yeah, yeah,
yes,
very
yes.
cool. All right. Well, I'm so glad that we had this time together. I sound a little like Carol Burnett there, but I'm
I
so
know.
happy.
Wait,
I'll pull
cool.
my ear.
Yes, there you go.
That's right. You notice that we both did
Yes,
that. That's good. And
yes,
for our listeners that have tuned in on the road and you're driving around, I hope that you had a laugh or two with us.
yeah.
And I do hope that you will go and see Hamilton Marsh and you will check out their website. And please join me in saying thank you to Ceri. Ceri, it's been a pleasure. And we'll see you next time on Act Three.
Sounds really good to me.
All
Okay,
righty
take
then.
care. Okay.
Take good care. All right, everybody, that does it for this episode. We'll see you next time. Have yourself an absolutely delicious day and get to Hamilton Marsh. Just saying.